Uh, Hello everyone. This is Satyam. I'm currently working as an ST Internet Specific. So let me just walk you through this agentic system that we have made. Okay, so if you see the architecture of it, um, okay, if you see the architecture of it, right, it's kind of a self-healing or self-validating agent, right? So it has a supervisor node which will take the user query and analyze the query and give it to other agents based on what the query is, right? If the query is regarding coding, it will give it to coder, and if the coding, if that is about research, it will give to research, and if it is to enhance the query and all, then it will give to enhancer, right? And then similarly, the coder and researcher will go to validator. If the answer is correct, validator will give a thumb point. Okay, now this answer can go to user. So this is a simple. This is as simple as that, right? So if the validator says okay, the response is not correct as of now, then again the supervisor will reprocess the whole thing again. So let me just walk you through the code itself, right? So for this we are using LangChain, which is again a library to call any LLMs and all, right, to make agentic system and many more. Then LangGraph, which is used to make agentic systems, right? Human in loop, everything can be made using LangGraph. Okay, let me just walk you through the code, right? The first thing that we are using, if you see, right, we are using Ollama. If the model is not giving any structured output, so we are using Pen3VL 235 billion instruct model. Uh, I don't know whether you are aware of or not. You can use cloud model locally too, right? Using Ollama. So I'm using that. And then I'm using the Groq model to get a structured output, right? And like in the .env file, you can put all your environment variable and then you can import it over here. Similarly, Tanvili search and then this Python REPL tool, which will be used by coder agent to execute Python code, right? So similarly, like Tanvili search, you can use DuckDuckGo search too because that is free, right? Okay, and this is the supervisor. You can see like this is the system prompt, and this is the response format that we want. The first one is like the next, right? So supervisor want to give this task to which enhancer, researcher, or coder, depending upon the description which has been given, and then what is the reason of giving that. Then this is the supervisor node. This is the comprehensive system prompt, right? And here we are putting the system prompt and we will give that message. If you see like here, we are using message state. Like if you don't know, so in the LangGraph, two state exists, right? The first one, either we can create an custom states. Uh, States you can consider it as a field that will go to each node, right? And in message state, there is only one field, which is message, right? A list of messages will be there. So that is if only one message is there, which will be base message. If you see, basically three messages exist, right? Human message, AI message, and system message. So if any of these messages list came, then that comes under message state, right? And if we want so many comprehensive thing like what the supervisor did was the supervisor reasoning and all in the state field, we use state graph for that, not message state. Okay, so this is a comprehensive system prompt we are giving, and to get the structured output, I'm using with structured output method, right? Which will which is kind of an specialized function when you want an LLM to force to generate a particular structured output, right? So if you see like the output will have two things as I already told you, next and reason, and then this command will simply say ki like okay, from this node go to that node, right? Go to that node, and in the state you can update that message and add this human message. A human message basically has two things. The first one is content, which will be listening. Another one is the name. Like if you know, whenever you want to make an agentic system, right? So there will be list of agent working. So in order that the other agent node knows like what the previous message came from, we use this thing name, right? You can consider it as metadata given to a base message. and the enhancer will do the same thing, enhancing and all, right? And then the researcher has a Tanvili search and DuckDuckGo search tool, right? It can use those tools and all, and then we are doing the same thing from that node go to that node, and we eventually are making this graph. So if you see there, there are few things. So firstly, each node will be a function. If you see, their functions are already defined, and a particular state will go to them, which is here as message state. As I already told you, it will be a list of messages only, and each will have a starting point, and there will be some is. So it can be conditional is or it can be is only. If it is conditional, it's kind of if else condition, right? If this thing came in the query, then go to researcher like that. Elsewise go to coder. Elsewise go to enhancer like that. So as I already told you, give the list of messages here, and then like if you we already have compiled that graph, right? And then just go ahead and then call that using that app. Now you can call each workflow and get the results, and just go ahead. If you see like app.stream input we are using, and then we are assigning each event and then key pair value, and then we are printing it. So if you see the supervisor content and the researcher content, and then transition to end. So yeah, so this is the one way to make agentic system. If you see like, okay, so that is pretty good, right? We are using LangChain, LangGraph, which is making the process smoother and smoother. So one more thing that LangGraph does is that it gives you observability over how those agents, like what output one agent give to another, right? Each has a node, but LangSmith give you observability without, like, I haven't written any extra line of code for the observation, right? Let me just walk you through this screen. Here if you see, so first the user query come to supervisor. Supervisor was again a node, right? The user query came into picture. So I'm looking for some fun events in the Delhi. It generated an output. Here is the Pydantic parser. If you see, there was next and reason. It converted that output in a particular format. And then we have given that to researcher. Researcher uses Tanvili tools to get the latest event happening, right? Okay, so after using the tool, it has generated a response, and now that response has been given to validator. Validator validated it and said, okay, now the things are finished, and then it gave a reason. And now that output of this researcher node will be given to user. This is as simple as that, right? So if the validator got okay, so there is something which can be improved out of it, then it will